While an operating system technically does not require any applications to come with it, most modern operating systems come with a whole bevy of applications that you can use to get up and going. We're going to look at some of those applications that come with Microsoft Windows so you can see what they are. Some of these you'll probably know, and some will probably be new to you. So let's take a quick look at this. I come down to my Start menu, and there's not a section of apps that are just readily available for you. So I'm going to point out just a couple. And I'm going to simply start to type them in, first being the calculator. Now you might go, why is this a big deal? Why would I need a calculator? I have one on my phone. You do, but, and this is where this becomes really helpful. Inside your calculator, you can also copy and paste your values. So sometimes if I'm working on something, I need to figure out how much is this, I can put in my calculator, calculate it, copy, and then paste that into Microsoft Word, into a web browser, into wherever I need to. But what's more than that is that my calculator has multiple types. So here we see just the standard calculator, things that you would expect and what you probably have on your phone. But you'll notice I also have a scientific calculator. Now, while the average person doesn't need this very often, this is kind of nice to be able to have, especially if you're maybe doing some homework and need to double check an answer or anything like that. If I click on my little hamburger menu, that's those 3 bars in the upper left-hand side, you'll see not only do I have a standard and scientific, but I also have a graphing calculator, a programmer, and a date calculation. So if I want to find the difference between 2 dates to see how far apart they are, so for example, I'm going to pick Christmas, I can see how many months and weeks, how many days, things like that. So if you ever want to know how long till I'm going on vacation, or how long until the next season starts, or how long, this is actually something that's built into the Microsoft Windows calculator. It's a pretty neat little tool that gives you some nice options. I'm going to go back to my standard calculator before I close out. Now, Notepad is a very plain text editor. Text is just what you see. It's just the letters that you're going to see there. There's no formatting. You can't make something bold or italicized. You can't create hyperlinks in it. There's no spell check for the one in Windows 10. And you can only have a single file open for the one in Windows 10. You see, they're constantly updating the Notepad application. It started off with something very simple, but as computers got more complex, so have its apps. And now we can have multiple tabs. We have multiple files open at one time. Now we have a built-in spell check in Windows 11 and some other things. But at its heart, it's still a plain text editor. So if I just need to write myself a little notes or keep track of something, I can put it in my Notepad. I use that. If you're looking for something a little bit more robust, you might want WordPad. WordPad allows you to do things like change your fonts and make something bold. And it's still available on Windows 10. On Windows 11, it's been removed, but you can go back and add it. Here you see just some of the things that you can do with this. What's nice, if I come over here to my File tab, I can save as, and I can save as a rich text document, open office document, and a couple others. Now, while this is no Microsoft Word, it is a cool tool to be able to do a little bit something nicer if you need to without having the expense of a large application like Microsoft Word. Next up is the Paint tool. Now, I've downloaded Paint.net as an additional application because I prefer it. However, Microsoft still comes with both Paint, which looks like this, and a Paint 3D. Now, Microsoft Paint is a very, very simple graphic editor. In fact, If you know anyone who's into visual arts, they won't probably even call it a graphic editor. But you can do some basic things like resize a document, and you can even add text and paint with it if you want. It doesn't give you the flexibility and power on like a Photoshop or even a Paint.net, but for free, it's not bad. And that's one of the things you have to look at. All these little applications that come with it are free. Now, one that is very valuable and helpful, I think, is something called the Snipping Tool. Now, you might go, well, wait a second. This doesn't have really anything to it. What's so big about this? Well, what's big about this is I can say new, then I can come over here and notice it gives me whatever I selected. So I just have part of an icon and part of my desktop. I can say new again. I can get something different. And I can do this not just with my desktop, but anything on my screen. So if you've ever had an issue saying like, hey, something's not working, you're trying to talk to the IT department, like this is the error message it's giving me, or this is, what I'm seeing on my screen. You can go in and snip it, select this, and either save it by clicking a little floppy disk icon, or copy it and then paste it into an email or into an instant messenger or any other tool that you have and are using. This is something I've used quite a bit when I create documentation and processes. So we want to know, how do we do this? I create a document, has the steps. Your screen should look like this. I use a snipping tool. This actually has a lot of power because not only can I select a portion and copy it, I can come over here and put a highlighter and highlight something. Or I can write on it with a pen and I can choose what ink I want. So this is a very powerful tool for something that's very, very simple. If you ever want to be able to do screenshots or copy just a portion of your screen, this is a great way of doing it. And of course, you can't talk about applications that come with Microsoft Windows without talking about their own browser. Now, years ago, this was Internet Explorer. It has since been replaced with something called Microsoft Edge. So Microsoft Edge is actually built on top of something called Chromium. Chromium is the base browser that Google's Chrome is built on. Now they have two different JavaScript engines, and they've made some their own little minor tweaks to it, but they have the same basic programming code underneath it. So anything that works in Chrome should work in Microsoft Edge. Finally, you can come here and find Settings. Settings isn't an application like you normally would think. Settings is where you go and configure and control your Microsoft Windows experience. This is something that may be locked out from you depending upon if you are in a business environment or maybe just have parts of it locked out from you. Most of this you'll never need to check or work with, but sometimes there are things that you do. And we're going to talk about how to set up your Windows experience using settings in our next video.